of the Mississippi River. Now, here comes the problem, and it's a big one. This is the Louisiana Purchase. This is the start of the end of the United States, right then. Because at that point you were encroaching onto native land. You had lost all credibility and anything even remotely like a noble idea with this purchase. Although it was building towards it, of course. With that $3 million that the United States had gotten by borrowing and by the theft of this land, Napoleon forged an army and set off to conquer Europe. Bank of England quickly rose to oppose him, financing every other nation in his path, reaping enormous war profits, of course. Prussia, Austria, Russia all went into debt in a futile attempt to stop him. But, the bank didn't really care if they stopped him or not. 4 years later, with the French army in Russia, Nathan Rothschild personally took charge to smuggle a supply of gold through France to finance an attack on France by the Duke of Wellington from Spain. Oh yes, good point. Sent to me from TCT. No, they didn't want him to win. They wanted the bloodshed and the devastation, because if you go back and have a chance to look through my pages, you'll see how wars racket and some people make a lot of money by the most amount of people dying. They knew that he wouldn't win because they had too much money. And they knew how to work the money supply. So anyway, Duke of Wellington from France. Wellington's attack from the north and other defeats eventually caused Napoleon and Louis XVIII. Well, Napoleon abdicated. Louis XVIII was crowned king, once again by the Vatican jumping back in to try to take charge of the planet with the banks. And yes, the Red Shield, the Rothschilds, are the Vatican Bank, which is the World Bank, but we're not there. I'm jumping ahead. Sorry. So, Napoleon was exiled to a tiny island off of Italy. And he was Italian. So while he was in exile and temporarily defeated by England through financial support, of course, America was trying to break free of its central bank as well. So, the death of the first bank of the United States. That's where we'll come back to. You're listening to Turtle Island News with Tracy Kennedy. Thank you, everyone.
surprise yourself in a moment of truth. You could not have envisioned this happening to you. No, it wasn't in the plans of things to do. Oh, but lady, you meant it, didn't you? Romance was just an addiction. Lovers satisfied your obsessions. Calls on hold, they were disconnected.
Welcome back, everyone. How you guys doing? Thank you very much for sending in the questions. That helps. And I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not trying to ignore you. I know there's a bunch of people listening right now, and I so appreciate it. Really do. It's just I'm still not at the capacity where I can open a bunch of rooms and not crash like a plane. Tudog just said if you type his name in Bing, it comes in. You know, I have started putting on just advertising our station, right? The Turtle Island News one. Although, you know, everyone who's listening today, big stations has they're in the roll call, right? But I tried this one called LinkedIn, which looked really good because all kinds of people are saying, hey, how you doing? Invite me. And I'm thinking, you know, it's other people trying to talk about their station. I am getting so much dirty email. Not that I'm a prude or anything, but first of all, if I had a penis, it would be none of your friggin' business how big it would be, and it would be huge, so don't even friggin' worry about it. And if I was a lesbian, I don't even know you, girl. Stop writing dirty stuff to me. And no, I do not want to see your boobs. I have boobs. I am familiar with said appendages and what they look like. So, I guess there's no real point to that other than, God, really drives me frickin' nuts, right? Nuts. Okay, just venting. Moving on. I know, can you imagine? Oh yeah, and apparently I have a lot of uncles in Algeria who need my help. So, there we go. Anyway, the death of the first bank, and I bet you those freaking guys own these things. God, I hate the spam. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And also all of a sudden I have these weird lines on my page, and I don't know how I did that, and I want to get rid of them. You know how I usually have, you can push this thing to go to another site to get more information now? Now there's those, and there's these random ones that are telling you, I don't know, to buy stuff. Anyway, I gotta fix that. Really sucks, drives me crazy. And I know, right? It's whose business what size my anything is. Leave me alone. Don't even know you. God. Okay, so, death of the first bank of the United States. 1811, bill was given to Congress to renew the Bank of the U.S. Debate was heated, representatives both sides. Press of the day openly called the bank a swindle, a vulture, a viper, a cobra. Oh, to have an independent press once again. Can you imagine? Anywhere in the world other than ourselves who are doing the radio stations, you know? Anyway, at the time there had people who actually wrote on paper who told the truth. You imagine? I thought that was a myth. So, a congressman named Porter attacked the bank on the floor, saying if the bank's charter was renewed, Congress would have planted in the blossom of this constitution a viper, which one day or another would sting the liberty of this country in the heart. Very incredible words, but if he hadn't noticed, said heart had already been stabbed. Nathan Rothschild warned the U.S. that it would find himself involved in a most disastrous war if the bank's charter were not renewed. He said that out loud. He threatened an entire friggin' country. The renewal bill was defeated by one vote in the House by one of the bravest men I've ever even heard of. It had been deadlocked in the Senate, actually. This time, America's fourth president was in the White House, James Madison. Madison, like Jefferson, was a staunch opponent of the bank. His first his vice president, George Clinton, by the way, broke the tie in the Senate and sent the bank into oblivion. Within 5 months, England attacked the United States. War of 1812 was on. But the British were still fighting Napoleon, so the war ended in a draw. 1814, money changers were down. They were far from out, and they were waiting because they got the call from Rothschild, and we knew it was there. It would take another 2 years to bring the bank back, but it was bigger and stronger and filthier than ever. Then we have Waterloo. Nothing in history, I think, reflects the ingenuity of this Rothschild family in control of the British stock market after Waterloo. That one event changed our planet. Napoleon, exiled, of course, returned to France, Paris, 1850. The French soldiers were sent to capture him. He was such a wonderful figure that, with the soldiers anyway, they liked him. And all the horrific stuff that we're told about this guy, the soldiers liked him a lot. They rallied around him. They hailed him as the new emperor. In the March of 1815, Napoleon equipped a new army, was defeated in less than 90 days later, though, at Waterloo. And then you have the stupidity of a land war in Russia in the winter. Never works, never good plan. Some writers suggest Napoleon borrowed some more money, £5 million from the Bank of England, to finance this army. But it appears actually the new funds came from a barred banking house in Paris. From this point on, it was not unusual for privately owned banks to finance both sides of the war. Why would a central bank finance both sides of war? Sounds weird, right? Sounds stupid. Now, because war is the biggest debt generator of all, as I've said. A nation will borrow any amount for victory, which implies that penis size that we were talking about earlier. But the ultimate loser is given enough financing for the hope of victory, while the ultimate winner is given just enough to win. Such loans are usually conditioned upon the guarantee the victor will honor the debt of the vanquished as well. So the winner has got to pay for both sides of the loans. Seriously, isn't that crazy? Now, Waterloo. At Waterloo, Napoleon suffered the greatest loss, and you've probably heard this story. It was not before, though, thousands of French and English gave their lives in a horrific battle, which both of them talked about later as being the filthiest thing they had ever